Hey, welcome everybody to Friday the 13th. It's been a lucky day for me. I hope it's been a lucky day for you guys as well. It's been a long 2 weeks, man. We have had a lot of things going on, and it's great to be home to catch my breath. I've got a very special guest today. He's been traveling more than we have. I mean, I really can't believe it. This guy is everywhere and anywhere at any time. I mean, for the SMA crew, we've been to Las Vegas, and then there was the US Open last week, which is a lot of hard work. But I'm more than pleased and very happy to introduce our special guest who is coming in right now. He's still in his gi because he's always doing something. Here we are, Mr. Mike Chat. Mike, thank you for taking the time and welcome to SMA Live.
All right, thanks for having me.
I'm going to go ahead and break this down real quick. I mentioned before you were in the Vegas Maya show. You actually hosted that, which we did stream. You can see him there in his clean suit, answering questions, hosting some of the Karate Kid family and everything. And then you were down at the U.S. Open. And then now, where are you today?
So I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas for the ATA World Championships. We just finished the World Expo. I went right from the US Open to my master's training. It's quite an extensive process. You have to wait 5 years to become a master from fifth degree to sixth degree. Lots of requirements, midterms, testings, and then you test. So last year, I tested in Little Rock at this event in front of about 600 people, and then had to fulfill additional requirements all throughout the year, ending in a 3-day training process, water fast, and many things that ended Wednesday night for our official master ceremony. So it was quite a treat. It was an incredible experience. And now we're on to the tournament. So yesterday was the top 10 competition for world champion for creative and extreme forms and weapons. Today was traditional forms, weapons, sparring. And then tomorrow starts the new tournament year. So it's been an action-packed couple weeks.
Man, I mean, I remember seeing some of the footage last year of you at this event. I remember seeing you with your gear, you doing everything, and it's a lot of work. And by the way, everybody that's out there listening to us now, if you have any questions for myself or Mr. Chat, please just post them to the comments. We will do our best to address any and all questions that are available today. I know you got a little bit of downtime, but so did you pass? This is a big question.
So last year I did pass. What's interesting is that you test in pods. So there's 600 of us testing for first degree through eighth degree. And in my pod there was about 30 in my pod, 5 judges, and then you find out about a month later whether or not you pass. So it's quite a process to go through. Then as long as you fulfill all the rest of the requirements, then you go through this master ceremony. And I've seen lots of belt promotions before for master and grandmaster, but the ATA does an official formal ceremony, which there's no martial art demonstration. It's actually a master's inductee ceremony, and there's 9 points. I'll just read them off real quick so the viewers have an idea.
Okay.
But it's about the philosophy and the path and the journey to mastership, starting with vision, respect, loyalty, knowledge, gratitude, honor, nobility, and then mastership. So at each stage, like vision, there's nine strikes of the gong that you hear. That represents, the beginning, the beginning to the end of your journey, right? Then it goes through respect. And then, we walk through the gate and they introduce us as these inductees before we actually get dubbed as masters. And so for each stage, there's a water ceremony, a candle ceremony. There's, gratitude, giving of the ring, presenting of the ring and a gold coin to the Grand Master. And I mean, it's quite elaborate. And the most meaningful ceremony that I've ever been through, aside from my wedding, and just totally different level of appreciation and understanding for the process of mastership in this organization, the people that have come before me, the entire culture of the ATA, because many people hear about it but they don't really understand it. And I thought I knew everything. I've seen this master ceremony so many times and I've heard the stories, but it's like having a baby, until you have your own child, you just don't know. You
That is
go through
absolutely
this,
true.
yeah, you go through this process, and it is just, it's mind blowing. It really was. It was definitely um, you know, a milestone in my life and my career, and I mean, no words. Now, I did a lot of posts so far. It's like no words. That ceremony, walking through the gate, being dubbed, and it's like, they announce your name, and
Mhm.
I've had my name announced many times, but it was different this time for sure.
And that is true. I mean, it's just the tradition and the ceremony from a great organization like that is always something. It will stay with you. Of course, if you don't know who Mike Chad is, he is the founder of the XMA system, the author of 1,000 Kicks with not even putting your leg down. I remember you from my heavy competition days. Let me see if I can remember your John Paul Mitchell team lineup, and I'm going to need your help. So I'm asking for it now. I remember Christine Banner Rodriguez, Pedro Xavier, Richard Brandon. Let's see. I'm starting to get a little fuzzy now. Who else was on the team? Help me out here. Who else?
Alberto Montrond.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Kevin Thompson.
Of course.
Richard Plowden. John Valera. Carmichael Simon. Gabe Ranaga.
Who was we saw this past weekend?
Did I say John Payton?
No, but John Payton, another
Boston
excellent
Taekwondo.
fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, John, Pedro, Alberto, Didi Baptista.
Baptista.
Yes.
My nemesis in my division.
Yeah. Ooh. I hope I'm not missing anybody.
It's one of those things that you would say, charge it to your head, not to your heart. There's so many people. So, I mean, just that lineup that you mentioned, let's just look curiously just at some of the Forms competitors. Christine, Richard, Gabe, Carmichael, John Valera, all these names, I mean, just that I just named right there. And of course, KA, all these names stand on their own as excellent martial artists. Mm-hmm. How were you able to chart? And actually, as chiming in right now, there's Mr. Simon waving at us right now. So a big hello to Carmichael. How do you make your own niche when you are absolutely standing among giants? What makes you stand out when you have that much talent shoulder to shoulder with you?
Well, I studied the greats. So my influences were John Chung, John Chung, George Chung, then Jean Fernet, Keith Harabayashi, Charlie Lee. And so, those are the people that I studied. And it was a mix of the old school traditional, John Chung, perfect kicks, perfect technique, Junri Taekwondo, to then the flash, George Chung, Charlie Lee, and then Jean Fernet, great kicks, but musical precision, right? Along with John Chung. So, but in a different dynamic way. So then, having to compete against Carmichael Simon, who was known for, his tricks, his acrobatics, and flashy moves, right? Like, I was not the flashy guy. I was the conservative, strong technique, kicking both legs, choreography. Jean Valera, he had a mix of both. He was super fast and powerful. So we each had our specialty. We each used 3 different types of music, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was just more about, in the beginning, for me, it wasn't finding ways to stand out. It was more about, okay, I want to do something. I don't want to copy those guys. Right. So it was like, okay, I don't want to copy them. Right. I want to do my own thing, to then turning more to focusing on standing out, being a leader. And that's what we do now in our leadership programs. But it was more about just not wanting to do what they did. Right. Mm-hmm. And then this concept of, standing out, being a leader, really owning it, took over. But that was after, years of doing this.
Absolutely. I'll bring up there 2 quick stories I'll bring up for both Carmichael and John Valera, because they were both from the Washington, D.C. area. Carmichael was actually at my local Junri Taekwondo when I started, Greenbelt, Maryland. Francis Pineda was actually my first instructor.
Francis Pineda, yes.
And Carmichael would come in, I think it was like on a Wednesday night here. I think I was a yellow belt or green belt. And I would see Carmichael run through his form probably 50 to 75 times a night. Francis used to work and say, okay, we're going to do the first part slow, And then after you hit the spot, boom, fast. And he would do it over and over and over. And I've never seen a guy sweat so much in just doing kata.
Yeah.
Francis was not easy on him. He made him work for it. And then, only then, when I went to my first tournament, did I see why he worked so hard. Anything that he did, he as explosive as he was in the dojo, he was 5 times better in the ring. Now, John, I never had a chance to work out with, but he was in the area. I used to bump into him all the time. And I remember specifically at Phil Baruti's Super Challenge, John was sparring, and it was John's first tournament as an adult in black belt sparring, and it was my first tournament as a black belt. And we actually got a chance to fight each other. And I'm telling you right now, man, John can fight. That guy can throw down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
we all
always
sparred
good
when
to see
we were
that.
kids. That was good.
And let's go ahead and recap a little bit about the U.S. Open. If you remember, I've had a chance to be home for a couple of days. You've been on the road. But give me your thoughts on this year's U.S. Open.
Well, overall, the tournament, I mean, it's the Super Bowl of martial arts. And, they have more participating countries. I believe this year it was like 55 countries participating. It's, it truly is a world championship. And it's the only event televised by ESPN2. There are a couple events on ESPN3, but, it's an event. We want to grow the sport, and they're really leading the way. And there was great participation. I mean, the level continues to go higher and higher in terms of the competition. One thing that was new was the first timers division. So, because the U.S. Open has gotten so much notoriety over the years, it's like people think, oh no, like, that's where the pros go. That's not for me. So even though you can compete in the non-NASCA divisions, which is the non-pro divisions, they created a new category this year for first timers, which did very well. And it really opened the doors for people who just wanted to get a taste of it without, the fear and the nerves of having to go against, much more experienced competitors. So I love that. We brought back our tricking challenge. So we did the first ISKA tricking championship, powered by Adrenaline, partnered with Jimmy and McGuire Kane of Adrenaline Worldwide. And, they brought in their top 4 athletes that are going to be competing at their big event coming up in 2 weeks. And we, had a great camp training, and then they killed it in the finals. So, if you didn't watch it yet, so it was live on ESPN3. You'll get another opportunity to see it on the ESPN2 airings. And, the judges, incredible. Matt, Sam, Dom. I mean, these guys are not just judges, but they're gathering promoters. They're the top, they're some of the top trickers. And they really brought another level of excitement to the U.S. Open because, we're used to seeing the traditional, the forms, the weapons. And it's been about six years since we did our last tricking battle. And now it's official. So we're starting this new round of ISKA tricking championships. And so it was a really great kickoff. It'll be both on the E3 and E2 shows. The competition is incredible. Mackenzie Emery sweeping both, female titles, always tough against Sammy Smith. Jackson Rudolph, Reed Presley, that's always a great battle, and then, Tyler, speculating whether or not it was going to be his Tyler Weaver's, last tournament. He says after winning, he says, well, don't be surprised if you see me a few more times.
There's something about winning that make you come back again,
Yeah. It's like, these guys, they're on such a high level. They've been doing it their entire lives. They're not just an inspiration, but, they're legends, in their time. And this is the next generation of competitor that everybody looks up to. And, whether it's entertainment route, for some, and, or, like with Jackson, he's going the medical route, and Sammy Smith, in school, then they're all pursuing different paths. But, our great team when it comes to the ISK World Championships, putting on a great show, having the highest level competition, and inspiring martial artists all over the world.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I can't imagine, being some father or some parent sitting at home and you flip on over to ESPN and you see like a 9-year-old or 12-year-old doing these spectacular things, and your kid's eyes light up. And you're like, man, I want my kid to do that. just thinking about you're mentioning film and everything. You're very known for being the Blue Power Ranger. How, I mean, yeah, I know you're not tired of it because we still mention that to you and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, just give us an idea. What was it like the first time, you put on that uniform and you take a deep breath, like, wow, this is it. I'm actually gonna do this. This is a dream come true. What was it like?
The saying is once a ranger, always a ranger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me as a martial artist, it was like dream job. And I grew up watching like Richard Brandon and different martial artists do stunts on the show. So I was close to it, but to actually be an actor on the show is something totally different. So yeah, I went through the audition process. They went through about 6,500, 6 to 7,000 applicants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Auditioned 6 times. I booked the job, and yeah, you're just like, wow, like amazing, right? So then I remember getting very focused. The first time I put on the suit, I was ready. I was like, okay, this is it, this is it. And we had dressing rooms, which was interesting. We had dressing rooms that, it's a set, so they're not like real rooms with thick walls and insulation and soundproofing. There's basically no ceiling, right?
It's just
There's
like
no,
a
like
box.
the walls go
Right.
almost all the way up, but you can hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could, I put on this suit. I'm like, yes, right, this is it. And then, but it's spandex, right? Like the reality is
Right.
it's spandex. And before Lululemon and all of these tights, that men wear today, uh, then it wasn't normal to wear spandex, let alone shiny blue spandex. So all the other actors are like, this is weird. This is awkward, right? And like to me, I was just like, what are you talking about? Like I
This
just
is the
couldn't.
ultimate. This is hero.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
none of them were martial artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was the only, longtime martial artist on the show. So for me, I mean, it's just like it's a dream job. Like I was living the dream, like every
This is
moment.
next level and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, so rolling right on that, you got some things in the works. You got some kids action films that you got produced. I'm going to let you tell us all about that. This is a project that you're working on currently.
Yes. So we have a slate of films that we're doing. My partner John Brinkus from Base Productions, he built and sold this company. He was our director and producer on the XMA Discovery Channel documentary that
Mhm.
that won awards, and he went on to win 6 more Emmys for fight science or sports science. And now he's got 2 kids, and we've been talking about live action films and TV shows for kids. So I partnered with a Disney a director that has done hundreds of Disney Nickelodeon shows. Just came off contract last year with Disney and had his own slate of films. So we did this film called My Babysitter, the Superhero. Really great film. He brought in the adult talent. I brought in the kids. Did all the second unit directing, action choreography, and stunt coordination. And we knocked this thing out. We've got a couple pickup days that we need to do now that they're almost done with the editing. But we've already got offers for distribution on the show, and we want to do fun, entertaining, quality programming, not just the ones that kids want to watch, but programs that adults, parents would actually want to watch with their kids, right?
Mhm.
Because there's a difference between yeah, you can watch that, it's fine, that's good, right? Versus hey, let's wait for me for when I come home. Let's watch that together, right?
Yeah.
So there's a difference, and I'm all about helping and serving others, and this is why I'm on the program development side, and working with Victory Martial Arts, the ATA, Martial Arts Industry Association. So this is what I love. I was given many things were given to me by my instructor, Sensei Sharky from Sharky's Karate, and Grandmaster Clark, Chief Master Von Schmeling, my partners in the ATA. And so it's just natural for me to then continue the cycle to give back. And so it's pretty incredible. So we've got putting together a slate of 5 films that we're going to be executing on. We've got a TV series in development that we're waiting for an offer to come in on right now. And in Hollywood, they say you get in line as long as you don't get out of line. Then you eventually, you keep working hard. Eventually, you're going to get to the top. Just don't get out of line. You'll get to the front of the line. Well, we want to shortcut that in some ways, where we want to control the content creation, the programming, the distribution, and the development of the shows. So this way we can do the projects that we want the way that we want them. Really highlight our people in the martial arts world and use it to then as a platform to then promote and market and funnel people into martial arts schools and then tournaments and to really build our industry.
I think that's an excellent venue to definitely do that in. And I mean, how does it feel a little bit this time? Not so much in front of the camera, but playing a little bit of the role behind the camera, doing the gathering. What's harder? Absolutely jumping up there and all the acting, memorizing the lines, hitting your marks, making sure you're facing the camera, or gathering the talent, making sure people are available, checking this. I would imagine both have their challenges, but this is a little bit newer for you. How do you like this new hat you're wearing?
It's the producing is new on the front, on the TV and film front. Producing as a martial arts instructor, promoter, school owner is, curriculum developer. It's normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like producing the original XMA program took 3 years. We shot in Oklahoma City, flying back and forth, developing curriculum, coordinating with other on-screen talent, and making the magic happen, right? So, the skill set was always there. It's just it was more focused on helping from within the martial arts industry. We know now that we need to get out of our industry, disrupt our mindset to then look at other ways to then benefit, and bring outside resources and media exposure to our industry where, Hollywood doesn't need to come and market to the martial arts industry because it's a niche market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to create our own projects that we can really use to directly tie into lead generation for martial arts schools. What is the value of competing in tournaments? People say to test your skills, right? We say, we say the same thing, but we present it as, yes, you're testing your skills, but what skills? Your physical, mental, or also your life skills, right?
That's
So
true.
even just traveling, there's social skill development that I would have never got because people don't realize this, but I'm an introverted personality. I seem very big. I talk a good game, right? But I'm a very introverted personality. Naturally, I'm not outgoing. I'm not big and bold, but I developed those skills from years of socialization at the tournaments, communicating with promoters, teaching. I developed the skills and I use it to help people, right? But that is not my nature. And so even something as simple as that, let alone being put under pressure, learning how to perform perform in front of other people, not to mention the choreography, synchronization skills. If you're doing team sync or team demo, then you're working with other people and collaboration. That's always a good skill to have, right? So there's so many benefits, right? And then of course on the self-defense side with sparring and continue it. I mean, there's so many different aspects, right? There's something for everybody. But on the surface, people look at it as a sport, right?
Correct.
You and I, we look at it as a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. It is
But
a
there's a lot of
lot.
education, right, that needs to happen for a lay person who doesn't know to better understand why do we call it a lifestyle aside from, oh, yes, martial arts is supposed to be a way of life, right? But
Mm-hmm.
people don't really understand what that means, right? It means something different to us than it will to a new parent at a martial arts school, right?
It is absolute truth. I remember my dad telling me something when I first started because I started late, started at 19. I didn't start at a young age like a lot of martial arts do. And he said, he said, once you get your black belt and you actually can focus on certain things, he says, you'll know it when you're in that position when, you're at a tournament and you're like, wow, I'm gonna hit everything at this right moment, everything. And it happened to me actually, ironically, at the US Open, probably 10, 15 years ago. I actually got there and I said to somebody, and I'm not a big trash talker or anything, but I said, nobody's gonna beat me.
Yeah.
And I know it. And I'm like, I don't know how or why I said it, but that day it felt like I was a step above everyone. I could see things faster. I was faster. I was
Yeah.
seeing things before they come. And if you ask someone to explain it, you were like, well, you kind of need to be in the martial arts. You will get to that moment and you will understand that feeling and all the other benefits and everything that you mentioned. Just being able to get in front of a class of 10 strangers and introduce yourself and
Yeah.
explain what you're going to be doing. That's all benefits of the martial arts. You're exactly right.
Yeah. And this is kind of what we joke about, but it's so true. We talk about just bowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then bowing. People say, well, why do you bow in martial arts? Well, courtesy, respect, time-honored tradition. Yes, but we say, bowing is another way to greet. Just like in Asian culture, we bow, and that's another way to greet. And greeting is the first step to social development, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we think about that concept, right? Greeting. How many parents that go to back to school night, right, or a school function, or the first gathering of a soccer? How many parents, go to a party and the first thing they do is just start walking up to a bunch of different parents and introducing themselves one after another, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not normal. People come in, they kind of nod, oh hi, hey, how's it going? And they don't go out of their way. It's because it's uncomfortable. And we
Mm-hmm.
say everything that's uncomfortable eventually becomes comfortable once you do it enough or practice enough, right? The problem is, like with leadership is not a comfortable, it's an uncomfortable position. Leaders have to stand up, do what is right no matter what, even if it's not popular, even if it's not comfortable or under peer pressure. And so just the act of greeting people, right? Being social. And that's what I remember as a kid. So excited to go and meet new people and say hi. And, that's where I developed my social skills. It wasn't back at home with my friends at regular school. It was when I went out, and I had more confidence in the martial art world because people knew of my skill level. So that helped me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was physical, right? It wasn't just academic. So, that's one of the biggest things that we learn. And then, that carries on, whether that's business, whether that's school, or even just personally, like most people, whether it's a male or female, they see someone attractive that they want to go talk to. And how easy is it for them to just walk up and introduce themselves, right? It's like we say, just going back to what you said about what you said that day at the tournament. Then i tell I tell everybody, you need to be selfish and aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And typically those are viewed as negative things, not positive. But
Mm-hmm.
see, as long as you're not hurting anyone, stepping on anyone's toes, being disrespectful in competition, that's the whole point.
That is
For
true.
you to do your best and to win and to beat everybody else, shut everyone else in sparring. The goal is for your opponent to score zero and for you to score as many points as possible, right?
Right. That
You
is
don't want your
selfishness,
opponent.
and
Yeah,
that is confidence. Know that you could do that. You don't want anyone else to have this selfishness. Just me.
yeah,
Confidence. I am going to do it. But
yeah.
you're absolutely right.
But how many parents, and this is where we disrupt the mindset of parents, right? Because kids don't come with a manual. Parents, we're not taught how to parent. They parent based on how they were parented, or they do the opposite, right? They're like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
never going to do that, right? So we disrupt them by telling them you need to be selfish, 100% selfish, completely and aggressively selfish. That's like, what? Because that doesn't sound positive, but it is. As long as you're being respectful, you're not doing any harm to anybody, but unless you are sparring, right? And that's the point. But
Different.
yeah, but you need to have that part of your personality develop. Otherwise, you get bullied, you get walked on, pushed back, stepped on, spit on, knocked to the ground, right? And that's what happens. And then kids grow up and they don't know how to do that for themselves, and they go into the real world and they get totally disrupted, but in a bad way. And then we have violence, we have school shootings, we have many things that kids that grow up cannot handle because they were never conditioned. So, that's why, you and I know the benefits because we've been in it for so long, but conditioning away from sensitivity to a place of strength, physically, mentally, socially, emotionally, that is why I do this. That is why, we have martial arts programming for students. That's why doctors are recommending and prescribing it now, right? And therapists.
Absolutely, and like you said, in all things, it comes back to respect. Well, I know you're in Little Rock. Let's play a game.
Yeah.
Where's Mike Chad at next? So what's next on the agenda?
uh, Sunday morning, I will get on a plane and I will go back to Los Angeles for a moment.
For just a tiny bit of
For
time.
a moment, I'll be there. We've got some stuff to do, and then I'm going to be off to Denver. We've got 3 schools: Littleton, Golden, and Arvada, Colorado. I'm going to be there next Wednesday, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
just for a hot minute, and then back to LA, and then I have a couple other trips, quick trips planned, but they're not completely locked in, and we've got a bunch of production meetings and things we have to focus on in LA, and yeah, so we're doing that. I do want to say if any of you NBL competitors out there remember way back in the day, I remember there was this little kid out of Toronto. Who was competing, and he was traditionally based, and he was super strong with the bow staff, and he used one of those like really thick bows, right?
Legit bows.
Not the Bernardo pencil stick bows, right? His name was Cody Hackman.
Ooh.
And Cody Hackman and I have reconnected. He's really good friends with Nick Bateman. A lot of people know him because of his social media success now. But anyway, reconnected with Cody, and he's part of a company called North Hollywood Films, and they're doing really well, producing a lot of projects out of Toronto. And going to see him when I get back to LA. We got some things cooking, and so we'll see. We're going to turn the heat up and get it moving.
It's going to be a long, hot summer. There you go, our mic chat. And we'll also like to remind you guys that coming up, and we will post this full schedule on the SMA website, on the SMA Facebook page, all of the edits on ESPN2, ESPN News of all the U.S. Open action. And, of course, you can go see the entire nighttime show on ESPN3 if you have a subscription to the ESPN network. Mr. Chat, I'm going to give you the final word before we go ahead and break.
Well, I would like to thank you, first and foremost, for having me on. So I appreciate that. And I want to give a quick shout out to Emily Cooper, Nick Schneider from Sport Martial Arts, your sidekicks over there. For those of you who don't know the history, they've been around since I was competing. Emily dedicated, her heart and soul to building SportMartialArts.com. You would not have this type of programming and content and up to the date, news and videos on all the latest competition without this team at Sport Martial Arts. They've really done a great job. We've brought in Century Martial Arts to help support, and they're becoming a key player in the sport karate world, and their involvement is getting bigger and bigger. So I just want to thank you guys at Sport Martial Arts, because without people that are passionate like you, because what started solely as a passion project has really turned into something special and valuable, really valuable for martial artists out there and competitors and school owners and instructors. So it's great. I will always be here to support you guys. Anything you need, you let me know. And yeah, you guys can follow me on all my
social media active. Everything. Go ahead. Let's everything you got. Go ahead, give it on right now. I know you're on every social media platform.
Well, if you just put in Mike Chat into Facebook, it comes up. Mike Chat XMA on Instagram, and Mike Chat on Twitter. Then it's really easy to find me. But you message me. I may not be very timely, but I will get back to you. And you're welcome to ask any questions and advice. But really, SportMartialArts.com is the authority and the resource to use. They have the connections, and not just recent, but relationships and connections that go 20 years back or and more, with the greats, with the top promoters and the instructors and competitors in our industry. So use them. They're out there for you, hustling at every tournament for you, to make sure that you're educated and you're updated on the latest and what's going on in the sport karate world. So thank you.
We certainly thank you for that. It's been my pleasure, sir. And he's absolutely right. It is a grind. We love it, and we hustle a lot. And this guy right here, a lot of people, unsung hero, doesn't know he is a great fan for us and really responsible for helping us get to a lot of places that we've been. So a big thank you to you, sir. I appreciate it as well. And speaking on behalf of my comrades, sidekicks, because you said it themselves, Nick and Emily are my sidekicks. You heard it here first. It's broadcast. It's on the internet, so it has to be true. I will look very calmly at them and say, Mike Chat said thank you to my sidekicks. And they will absolutely kill me at our next event, which is going to be the U.S. Capitol Classics coming up August 3rd and 4th in my hometown, Washington, D.C. Come and bring your cameras, watch them try to fight me, see if I still got my fighting skills. That's going to happen.
All right.
Mr. Chat, thank you so much. Hang on for a second. I'm going to get in this broadcast, but definitely safe travels to you as you travel all around the world. And thank you for taking time. Guys, it's been another SMA Live. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back very soon.
All right. Thank you.